Well, what the hell? So we'll start from the beginning here since I was talking to myself all day. So over on the daily, thank you for pointing that out. Over on the daily for Dixie, we are overall pushing down. Our VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is pulling back. That money flow is bearish. If this continues, we will see Dixie continue lower. That can push toward the 99. And remember, as we continue lower, crypto will continue forward. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we'll just do a quick recap on these because they don't matter. Then we'll get into the nitty gritty on the others. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are continuing lower. Like we said, we did reject those EMA levels, but we are holding that yellow EMA. If we can continue forward here, that would be positive. But remember, Bitcoin dominance selling off means our altcoins will outperform Bitcoin, and that means we could see an alt season. We didn't see an alt season yet. We saw Bitcoin kind of lead the market. We did not get an explosive rally for alts. So as dominance weakens, that does give us that potential. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is breaking, money flow is pulling back. I would watch, that could continue to weaken us here. Over on the total for the 1 hour, we are continuing forward. We did break our neckline, so that is positive. We do want to see a retest of this neckline and a continuation forward. We can get to that in the lower time frames. Momentum does want to run. That VWAP is pulling back, money flow is bullish. So we do look positive here. This can continue to push us forward, providing we can make a bounce off this neckline. Before hour, we did make a little bit of a retracement. We are trying to continue forward, so we do want that to continue to push altcoins higher. Stochastic is pulling back, momentum is rounding. We do have bearish divergence. VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows, so that does have a bearish trend. That will bring momentum lower and could cause money flow to go from green to red, signaling that we do have a sell-off. So you guys are leaving before we get to the lower time frames. We do still look bullish. We can continue. So if you're thinking we're all about bearish, that's not the case here. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, though, we are pushing up. We do have that gap to the downside. We do want to continue forward. Momentum is running. That VWAP is weakening, but money flow is breaking bullish, and that VWAP is bouncing. If that VWAP can continue to bounce here, we can see money flow continue up, and that would push Bitcoin higher. So that would give us a bounce off that 65.5. But again, we do have those lower gaps, so I would just exercise caution if we break this 65.5. Stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is starting to pull back as well. Momentum does have a double red dot. As that VWAP breaks down, money flow is pulling back, so I would exercise caution. We do have a long upper shadow candle, followed by a red candle. This red candle, though, does have a long lower shadow, so we could see a strong green candle push us forward, but we really won't see too much on futures, because it's done trading for the weekend, so we won't go too much into these lower time frames. The 1 hour, we are retesting that EMA level. We do have a long upper shadow, so watch for a red candle here. That could bring us lower, but Bitcoin would show us that on the lower time frames over the weekend because we are not going to see futures trade. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we are continuing forward. We are near our neckline. Stochastic is pulling back. Momentum is starting to run, but we have a green dot as that VWAP breaks bullish, so that is positive. If that VWAP can stay bullish, we could see money flow push up, and we would continue forward. Over on the 4 hour here, we are continuing up above our EMAs, so we're continuing to bounce. We did make a retest of that support level, and then we did see a pretty quick run up. Our stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is selling off. Momentum is starting to round with a red dot, and VWAP does want to break down. Money flow is pulling back, so overall, I would exercise caution. But if these lower time frames can push forward, we can continue forward. Remember, it's not all negative. We can just retest our blue EMA, then continue forward. You would want to watch these EMAs as we continue to make our move forward. You do want to use things like EMAs, support levels, as your kind of stop loss areas. You could use those as your alert areas. So if you're here in TradingView, you could click here, add an alert, and then if you have TradingView on your phone, if price hits this area, your alert would target, and then you would get a notification on your phone. So that's why having TradingView on the phone could be helpful if you want to pay attention to the market in the medium term before our videos. But stochastic is starting to pull back. RSI is selling off. That VWAP has lower highs with lower lows, and money flow is pulling back. So I would watch if that VWAP continues lower, momentum will continue to sell off, and that money flow will continue to go from green to red. Remember, that means we have a sell-off. Over on the 1 hour here, we are trying to bounce off that blue EMA, so that is positive. If we can stay above our green EMA, we could continue our push forward, but these higher highs and higher lows do connect, so I would exercise caution. If we draw a rising channel here or a parallel channel, you would see we have 3 touches of the bottom. Watch for a bounce off this bottom. If we get the bounce off that bottom, we would hit the top, get our 3rd touch to the top, and then we could end up rejecting that, breaking down, or breaking up. So remember, these patterns kind of, if you don't get your 3rd break to touch to the bottom and your breakdown, you can invalidate by pushing forward. So we do have 2 touches here. We are attempting to make a 3rd touch here. So this pattern, it says it's a rising channel, but not everything that sounds good is bad. A rising channel brings you down. We cover that in the Mastering the Trade series, and that would actually bring you right around our alert area. So that's a strong support resistance area. You can see by the candle bodies and wicks in that area. Our momentum does want to pull back, stochastic is starting to round away. VWAP does want to reject neutral, so I would watch. If it rejects here, money flow could continue to sell off, and if that money flow goes in the red and stays in the red, then we could weaken higher time frames and get a push to the downside. But remember, if we bounce off that bottom of that channel here, then we could break up and invalidate that pattern. That's what you want to look for if we're going to continue forward. You would have your stop loss at the bottom or near or below the bottom if you don't want to get stop loss hunted. Stop loss hunting is where people may look for the bottom of a position. Let's say this neckline here. They may look for this neckline. You can see we broke this neckline several times here. So we got a red candle. We did break forward. We did try to retest the neckline again. That's a strong support area. So that's a target that people are going to make because there would be a lot of stop losses in there. So you can liquidate a lot of people on the opposite side of your position if you're doing like longs and shorts. Stochastic does want to pull back. Momentum is starting to round. That VWAP does want to break down. Money flow is bullish, so that is positive. RSI and stochastic do want to drop though, so I would exercise caution. Over on graph for the 4 hour, we are continuing forward. Again, watch for these highs and lows to connect. If they do, that could break us lower. Momentum is rounding away. We do have a red dot. VWAP does want to break down. Money flow is starting to sell off. Watch that. If that VWAP continues lower, that momentum will break down. Money flow will sell off, and then higher time frames will break down. Over on the 2 hour here, we are pretty flat overall, but we have a slight rising channel going on. Remember, that's a bearish pattern that can break you lower. Stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is starting to sell off. That VWAP is breaking bearish with lower lows, so watch if we favor here. If we favor in the bearish territory, momentum will continue lower and money flow will start to break down. That could end up making us push toward that 18-cent area. Remember, that is our neckline and that is a strong support resistance. We also have other consolidation ranges we could look like right in this 18,643. So we have a lot of candle bodies and wicks there. We could pull back, hit that, and then bounce. We could get higher highs with higher lows there, continue forward. But again, watch that. Momentum does want to pull back. That VWAP is starting to reject away. Money flow is starting to break down. RSI and stochastic are dropping, so we do look a bit more bearish here. I would exercise caution on that. Over on Ankr for the daily, we are trying to break our resistance area. We did hit our 300 EMA, and we got rejected by that area. So that is a critical rejection. I would exercise caution, but we did bounce off the 2883 on the same side. So we are kind of all over the place here. Stochastic does want to round. Momentum is starting to round. VWAP is breaking down and money flow wants to push forward. So we'll break down what happened on the lower time frames. Now on the 4 hour, we kind of whipsawed around in one candle here. So we'll want to look on the 1 and 2 hour. But we are seeing VWAP stay bearish. If that continues to favor bearish, momentum and money flow will weaken, weakening the daily and pushing us down. Over on the 2 hour, we are rejecting EMAs, attempting to bounce off our support, so we need to break above these EMAs and hold if we're going to see that continuation forward. Otherwise, if we do not see that, we will continue lower. That VWAP does have lower lows with lower highs. That will cause that momentum to continue toward that neutral and break through. If that happens, money flow will weaken and higher time frames will lose strength over time. Over on the 1 hour, momentum is pushing down. That VWAP has been favoring bearish and has not been successful in breaking bullish. If we continue to favor bearish here, our money flow will start to break down, weakening those higher time frames, so watch very closely. Stochastic is starting to weaken. Overall, we are seeing it push around this 14, but remember, we want to hold above 30 if we're going to stay bullish and push that RSI up. As that RSI comes down, it could push price below that support area. So over on XRP, if it would go to the daily for us, we are kind of still in our channel here. We do have an indecision candle here as well. Stochastic is pulling back. RSI is flat, momentum is pulling back. That VWAP is pretty flat, but trying to break that neutral, so watch lower time frames. Money flow is pretty flat, is slightly bearish, but if lower time frames push forward, we could invalidate that. So this channel may begin invalidated. We did get a third touch to the bottom here on the 4-hour. We did not break down, so watch for a break to the upside from here. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP is breaking down with lower highs and lower lows though, and momentum is pushing down. Keep an eye on that. If that continues, our money flow will remain bearish, and we will see a push to the downside. Over on the 2-hour here, we are seeing lower highs with consistent lows that can make a descending triangle. That descending triangle, remember, is a bearish pattern. We do cover that in the Mastering the Trade series, if I can get that line there, and that could break us lower. It wouldn't break us too far because it's a small triangle, but it would break us to that 58 cents. Stochastic is pulling back, but we have a bullish cross, so watch for that to maintain. If blue stays above orange, RSI could continue forward and price could break above this area and invalidate the pattern. VWAP does want to push that neutral too, and momentum is pushing forward. Money flow is bullish, so we do still have some hope to invalidate bearish momentum here. Over on the 1-hour, we are testing that area, but we're indecisive. So this is a long lower shadow candle. We need a strong green candle after this to push us forward and give us bullish momentum. VWAP is pushing up, momentum is gaining strength. Money flow is in the bullish territory, so if this maintains, we will see continued bullish momentum and we can invalidate this pattern, so that could invalidate this larger rising channel as well. So last but not least, unless there's any special requests, we have ALGO for the daily. We did hit that red EMA, but we have a long upper shadow. Again, watch for a red candle that could break us down. VWAP has lower highs with lower lows, so watch for that break of the neutral. If we break that neutral, we could see momentum break down. Stochastic is rounding. RSI does want to pull back, so the daily doesn't look too positive despite that push forward. Over on the 4-hour, we are breaking below the green EMA, but if we can continue to hold above the blue and yellow, we can continue up like we have seen on the previous price action. Stochastic is pulling back, momentum is rounding, RSI is pushing down. Watch that momentum. We have bearish divergence as that VWAP favors bearish. If that VWAP continues to drop here, momentum will weaken and money flow could start to reverse, giving price more bearish momentum as more people sell. Over on the 2-hour, momentum is breaking down. That VWAP does have lower lows with lower highs. Our money flow does want to weaken, so keep an eye on that VWAP. If it continues lower, momentum will weaken money flow. Over on the 1-hour, VWAP is favoring bearish, but trying to break up. If that VWAP can break up and get higher highs with higher lows from there, momentum could push forward and money flow could bounce. However, if that VWAP rejects or makes a very weak high, then pushes down again like we did in this wave here, then we could continue to push down from here, making lower highs and lower lows on price. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. I appreciate